aprachatana pratak. Reading 3:14-13. Pura pitano bhagavan daksho duhitruvatsalaha kam vraneta varam vatsa iti aprachatana pratak. What word? Pura, in days long ago, Pita, father, na our Bhagavan, the most opulent, Daksha, Duhitru Vatsalaha, affectionate to his daughters, come unto whom, Vrunita, you want to accept, Varam, your husband, Vatsa, O my children, iti, thus, Apruchata, inquired, na us, Pratak, separately. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband. Please repeat. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It appears from this verse that free selection of a husband was allowed by the father, but not by free association. The daughters were asked separately to submit their selection of a husband who was famous for his acts and personality. The ultimate selection depended on the choice of the father. So we'll try to understand this verse. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjansalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Grim Yatkrupatamaham Mande Sri Gurum Denataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhu Bhyevacha Vaitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta ki jai. So the context of this verse, I'll quickly read the previous translations, so we know that this is the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. There is various angles. We can take a look at this chapter, various instructions from this verse and the whole chapter. The Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, and in parallel we see Vidura speaking, Maitreya Muni speaking to Vidura and responding to the question, why did Lord fight with Hiranyaksha? So what has happened? What was the last time? We want to hear more. He was very inquisitive. So that is the context we can see. Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Varaha, Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he did not yet feel satisfied. So Vidura said, O chief among the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifices the personality of Godhead Lord bore, Varaha. What was the reason, O Brahmana, for the fight between the demon king and the Lord bore, while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime? My mind has become very inquisitive, therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please, therefore, speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. Is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. By hearing this topic from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttanapada Dhruva was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead. He ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of the death. This history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of the demigods. Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods, Diti, the daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband Kasyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in a trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. In that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire. Oh, learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I derive to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. A woman is honored in this world by the benediction of her husband, and husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for the expansion of living entities. And today's verse has been described. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband. The first instruction directly coming from our Divangesi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, the ultimate selection depended on the choice of the father. So the ultimate father is the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So that's why we have to understand. So we may do so many endeavors, we may try to perform so many activities, we may have so many thoughts or desires, but ultimate cause is the Supreme Lord. This is explained in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita in the context, looking at different lens. Even the second chapter is more or less same, but it is looking at the lens of the process of bhakti on the platform of karma mishra bhakti, with those who are tinged with fruitive activities. And we see here Kashyapa Muni also, and we see later on in the chapter, Vidura is very strong in devotion service. What that means, we'll try to understand. And Kashyapa is not strong. He simply obliged to his wife Diti. Diti here. So Diti and Aditi we know. So from Diti produced Daityas, Aditi produced Devas, the demigods. And Diti became envious. And here in this verse we see Daksha also. Daksha also became envious. Also, we'll come to that. From Diti became all Danavas were produced. Demons were produced. One such demon is also we see later on Hiranyaksha here, but the same, the Jaya and Vijay coming as in 3 lifetimes, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, so Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakasipu. In this way we can see. So the same desire is there to enjoy as it is expressed. One is because she was thinking, she's seeing Aditi as having so many kids, nice kids, so I also should have. She's desiring the same way. So, but that desire generally is not fulfilled in general. So that's the first instruction here is Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pratak vidham vividaicha pratak chesta daivam cha evatra panchamam. So ultimate dependence must be on the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is giving the free will choice, and spiritual master is also giving the choice to us. The free will is always there. One must not be forced. Prabhupada is instructing again and again. Don't force. You instruct. It is them, but it's up to them to decide, because by force you cannot keep them long. So they will leave. So initially, mechanically, they may do things 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If they don't chant, if they don't follow the process, they don't develop taste by their own desire, then they will not be able to stick around. So don't do it by force. So here, the place of action, the 5 things here, Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is speaking in Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, Karma Mishra Bhakti on the platform, and the Gnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, and pure devotion service. So that's the 18th chapter is also very, very important. And all these Prajapatis, except few, Swayambhu Manu Daksha is Prajapati, Kasyapa is Prajapati. Today we see so many living entities having that Kasyapa Gotra. Lineage coming from Kashyapa is a huge generation of living, and so much procreation he has done, same as Daksha. But Swayambhu Manu is the Manu and he is Prajapati as well. But Swayambhu Manu is very strong, like Vidura. It's a big difference what kinds of population he produced and what kind of population Daksha and Kashyapa produced. At least some of them we can see big variance is there. And so that's the first thing one must understand is these fruitive activities must be directed, diverted to please the Supreme Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam is speaking before even bringing the bhakti aspect in the beginning itself, in the second chapter, divinity and divine service, this aspect of enjoyment. Kamaschana indriya priti labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasana yes cheha karma bihi. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for the inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. So this is the ideal situation. So we should be constantly directing that whatever desires we may have, so towards coming to that ultimate goal of life. So the place of action, the 5 things expressed here by in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, verse number 14. Adhishtanam tata karta, the place of action, which is the body, tata karta, the soul, the performer, and karanam, the various senses, which are the ones dragging us away, because mind is not controlled. Neither intelligence is not sharpened. So because the soul is not engaged in devotion activities, intelligence is not sharpened. So that's why senses, mind is not subdued, and then the senses are going everywhere. So the various senses, and then the many different kinds of endeavor. So that is Vividesh Pratak Chesta. And then ultimately, the ultimate cause is Daivam, Sevyavatra. Ultimately, the super soul. These are the 5 factors of the action. So that is the first and foremost lesson. So ultimate dependence must be on the Supreme Lord and spiritual master. One who surrenders, then is ready to give the protection even to the demons. Vishnu was the demon, a family of demon, but he was a great devotee. He has surrendered, even though others has given various thoughts, giving various instructions to Lord Ramachandra, but Lord Ramachandra simply accepted. Even if he's a demon, if he's coming to me and taking shelter, I'm ready to give. That is a famous verse, Paribhata Sutra of Ramayana, that was Sapratyeva Prapanno is Tavaspe Chayachite Avayam Sarvada Tasmai Vratam Mama. So Sarvada Vratam Mama. So he's always giving protection. Once somebody submits to the spiritual master and Supreme Lord, so spiritual master is ready to take that soul back to Godhead. So Supreme Lord is also same. That is the first instruction we see. The second point is also various angles are there. One may look at it, ideal Grihastha life, Kashyapa and Aditi, or Kashyapa with Aditi also. That is one instruction, but I am not going there. So going to the another one, the Vidura is as strong as, very strong. So like Swayambhavu, very strong. The in devotional service. That's why he didn't care about even Dhritarashtra, and he is also having that forgiveness attitude. This is the most important quality one must develop in devotional service. And as we can see clearly from Srila Prabhupada, how much forgiveness he had, despite disciples doing so many activities, so many things, fell down and whatnot. So this is the Vidura is very much very compassionate and very forgiveness, very strong. But Kashyapa is not strong. He is simply obliged, even though Aditi approached and desiring an unfavorable situation. But he just only simply pacified by the words, but not really able to stop. He was not. He is not fully strong like Vidura. Prabhupada talks about. So in order for somebody to be strong, so one must be advanced in devotional service. Otherwise, it is not possible. Doesn't matter from whom. So it doesn't matter whatever is the living entity position, high caliber. Intelligence, mind, or material intelligence, material mind will not work. So it is only by the pure devotional service we will be able to control fully. So that's why the 9 aspects Srimad Bhagavatam speaks. How do we know one who is advanced or not? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to Sanatana Goswami on this point, that the 9 aspects is Kshantir Avyartha Kalatvam Viraktir Manasunyata Asa Bandha Samutkanta Nama Gane Sadaruchi Asakti Stad Gunakyane Priti Vasati Stale Iti Adayo Anubhava Syur Jata Bhava Ankure Jane. When the seed of ecstatic emotion of Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms are manifest in one's behavior. Forgiveness, Shanti. So concerned that time should not be wasted. Abhyartha kalatvam, detachment, that is virakti. So virakti doesn't happen unless engage in pure devotion service, following previous the spiritual master and previous acharyas. Absence of false prestige, mana sunyata, and hope, asha, bandha, and samutkantata, eagerness. Highest eagerness we see is the gopis and Srimati Radharani. Namagani sadaruchi, the taste of chanting the holy name of the Lord. And asakti, attachment to the description of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And then affection for those places where the Lord resides. Priti vasati stale. That is a temple or holy place like Vrindavan. These are called anubhava, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. So the first itself is forgiveness. So we can see from Mayapur in the beginning days when Mr. Prabhupada asked Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj relating this. When Prabhupada asked for the report, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj mentioned about how Mayapur was attacked by 300 dacoits. And then after attacking and rather the report was given like so opposite, that then they, even though the dacoits attacked devotees, rather they put it as opposite, that they are doing against Hindus coming into this place and doing some other things. So then they have been arrested, chained up, and so many things. They had to go through so much difficulties. And Prabhupada hearing this, and all the devotees were very much disturbed. What to do? Krishna, Lord Krishna is the only shelter. So Prabhupada said, don't worry. So the Lord Krishna will definitely bring the victory in the ultimate goal. Just we have to be patient. And then at that time, then Guru Maharaj Jayapataka Swami Maharaj came. Then he gave the very optimistic report, and he was having a very much forbearance. So despite so many things, then he told Sri Prabhupada, so many we gathered, we were able to bring all the Hindus in that region, we were able to perform Nama Sankirtan. So we were able to take to the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction and gather so many people and took to street Sankirtan to against to especially to show how devotees should act, how it's a very optimistic report basically is giving how to engage in this tolerating all these various things, but at the same time show that we are not obliged by these kind of irreligious activity, these kind of demoniac activities. We shouldn't leave them and let it go, but rather we should fight, especially when it is needed, especially in that situation. When Lord is in danger, when especially Lord's temples are in danger, when Lord's devotees are in danger, then one must take an action. So Bhakti Raghav Maharaj and others has taken gun and fought against them. They lost their legs also. So this is the glory to the devotees, and we must be very optimistic, and we must also forgive them and engage them slowly and gradually. And many times devotees fell down and didn't follow, and Prabhupada was giving this, especially having this forgiveness attitude very much to the highest extent, is able to forgive and talk to those devotees who fell down from sannyas, fell down from the leadership positions, and took money from the temples. So many things they did, but Prabhupada always ready to meet them, ready to console them, ready to instruct them. Just chant simply the holy name of the Lord. Will be able to. It's all right. At least sit and chant, even though you may not want to come to temple or associate with devotee, but at least sit at home peacefully and chant the holy name. And be happy. You'll be able to come out slowly from your unwanted whatever anarthas you may have. So that's why this forgiveness attitude must be there. Otherwise, life is too short. Keeping the grudges against other devotees, this envious attitude which Daksha had to suffer. So one of the Prajapatis also Prachina Barhi. Prachina Barhi is son of Prachetas. Daksha has to be born twice. Daksha has been, because of his envious attitude towards great personalities, especially Lord Shiva. He couldn't even identify his own enviousness. And he wanted others have it, so I should have more. Because others shouldn't have it also. This enviousness and jealousy. And Daksha didn't even want to ready to give, even in this verse, it's talking about he has given pre-selection. But in the case of Sati, the husband of Lord Shiva, he was not ready to give to in marriage to Lord Shiva. Rather, he was obliged by Lord Brahma, his father, to give it in marriage to Lord Shiva. And then he was telling in the big assembly, he was scolding, and he actually so much with offensive language against Lord Shiva. And then he walked away. Lord Brahma and all the great sages, so many exalted personalities were there telling him, don't go away. But still he didn't listen. He was so puffed up, so envious, so angry. He didn't know what he's doing because he's not strong, as we see in this verse. Namagane Sadaruchi. He hasn't developed a taste, because generally devotees are not keen to hear, keen to follow the instruction of the process given in the second chapter itself, divinity and divine service. One must hear in the association of devotees and take association of those who are advanced devotees, especially those who have developed taste. Sushruto Siddhadanasya, that is the first point. Bhagavatam begins with bhakti process. Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Unless we develop taste, unless how will we develop taste? Only when we hear among the association of devotees and take association of more of those who are advanced devotees, those are pure devotees and spiritual masters, and our disciplic succession, taking that association, moments of association also very, very rare, and it is very, very effective in purifying our unwanted desires. Daksha rather even he cursed, and then he walked away. He even told Brahma, you are the one cause. You told, that's why I gave. Otherwise, I didn't want to give my daughter to Lord Shiva. He didn't have anything. He had no clothes, nothing. He has ashes on his body. Why should I give? That was his attitude to give. Not to give, but obliged by father, he gave. Later on, we see that that angry then he was killed and goat head was given. Lord Shiva was very compassionate. So much forgiveness was there. So then he offered prayers, but later on also that mentality didn't go away. Then even he cursed. He had 10,000 Haryasvas, and then second batch Selyasvas. 10,000 kids he produced. Procreation. Then Narada Muni instructed all of them into devotion service. They became devotees. But second batch again he produced another 10,000 became Haryasvas. Then again Narada Muni converted all of them into devotees, and he cursed Narada Muni. He will not be able to stay at one place. So because of this, he is not strong. Daksha is very much in the procreation business. Is not on the platform of pure devotion service. And Dhruva Maharaj is also in the sixth verse. We see that how Dhruva Maharaj, coming from the lineage of Swayambhu Manu and son of Uttanapada, exalted devotee of the Lord, he himself was also in Dhruva's life. We see that Dhruva was lamenting, why did I ask for this broken piece of glass when Lord himself personally appeared right there and approached, gave the benediction? Why did I ask, go with this? Even though Narada Muni as exalted person, he gave all the blessings. I shouldn't have asked in this first place. Even though Lord blessed him, you are going to lead as a king 36,000 years in Satyuga, and you will attain ultimately come to that. You will have your own planet, Dhruva planet, Lord created personally for him. Then you will go back to Godhead after 100 years of Brahma's lifetime is over. This universe will be annihilated. Then you will go back to Vaikuntha. But Dhruva Maharaj was lamenting, I shouldn't have this kind of desire. This is not pure desire. This is a mixture of fruitive mentality. So Dhruva was lamenting. This is the attitude of a devotee. One must develop this. One must engage. Don't ask for anything other than only to satisfy the desires of the spiritual master, desires of the Supreme Lord. So that's why Sushruto said the Dhanasya, associating with the exalted devotees like Vidura, even though Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana are the one who pushed they throwed him out, kind of. Vidura left. This is by the will of the providence. He left and he went to the pilgrimage, came back, but still he came back and he was so much compassionate. He gave instruction to Dhritarashtra, what are you doing? Sitting at home. So we can see that this is the devotee who is very strong, who has developed taste for Namakana Sadaruchi, chanting holy name and sitting at holy place, or making the home as holy place, or making his body as holy place, and hearing Krishna Katha among the association of devotees. So we can see all these qualities. Abhyartaka, don't waste time. Virakti, complete detachment. He was completely detached, despite Prabhupada, you see, even though he was receiving so much money, so much adoration, so many things, but he is completely detached. He was not attached to his name, fame, glory, nothing. He was always thinking, this is because of the previous acharyas. Is just by my Guru's mercy, all these disciples has come. By my Guru's mercy, everything is arranged. He was not thinking it is my glory. Only glory he was doing. I was following, simply carrying on the instructions of spiritual master. That's why. So I am able to see the result. Palena Parichyate. So that's why by following in the footsteps of Sri Prabhupada and his disciples, one must engage in this very attentive hearing, Sravanam. Then that will more we do that in the association of devotees, and then gradually it will lead on to Maranam. Then we'll reflect and contemplate. And then that will be lead on gradually into Niridhyasanam, that is meditation on the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, Sravanam cannot lead to Mananam unless we are very focused, attentive hearing, especially among the association of devotees, especially those who are advanced and developed taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. So these is aspects we can see to many other angles. So in the interest of time, I also like to read from Uttarakhanda, similar aspect where Ravana. Why did Ravana has? What will you desire? Diti also is desiring. What should be our desire? When you have wrong desires, what will happen? So Kumbhakarna, what did he desire? What did Ravana desire? What did Indrajit desire? Because these are the wrong desires one must have. Rather than it should be desire of Prahlad Maharaj. It should be desire like Narada Muni, like Vyasdev, so like the exalted personalities. So we'll see. So where Lord Ramachandra came back to Ayodhya, then he was they are glorifying him. Then they are glorifying. You are even stronger than Indrajit. Then why are you glorifying like Indrajit? Then Lord Ramachandra is asking. We're especially thankful and that Indrajit no more, for there was no one comparable to him. Except for you and Lakshman, he was incapable of being killed by anyone within the three worlds. Politely interrupting the sage, Rama curiously asked, why are you praising Indrajit as being even more powerful than Ravana or Kumbhakarna? On behalf of the sages, Agastya Rishi replied by narrating at length the history of the Rakshasas. Pulasya was the son of Lord Brahma. He went to perform austerities at Trinabandhu's ashram and later on married the Rishi's daughter. Their son was Vishrava, their name indicating that he was very fond of listening to the recitation of the Vedas. Vishrava married Bharadwaja's daughter and their son was named Vaishravana. Later on, as a reward for his austerities, Lord Brahma made Vaishravana the fourth Lokapala. Besides being awarded the post of Kuvera, the Lord of Wealth, Vaishravana was given the Puspaka chariot. After this, Vaishravana asked his father to designate a place for his residence. Vaishrava replied, my dear son, you may reside at the city of Lanka, which is located on the Trikuta mountain and which was built by Vishwakarma for the Rakshasas. Lanka is now vacant because long ago the Rakshasas fled out of fear of Lord Vishnu and went to live in Rasatala. Rama requested, please tell me the history of the original Rakshasas. How powerful were they in comparison to Ravana? Why were they driven away from Lanka by Lord Vishnu so that they had to reside below the earth? Agastya continued his narration. In the beginning of creation, one class of beings were called Rakshasas, and their two leaders, Haiti and Praheti, was naturally inclined toward virtue. Haiti married Baya, who was a very fierce woman, and their son was named Vidyutkesha. When he grew up, Vidyutkesha married Shalakantaka. The mother abandoned her son, however, but she had only desired to have sex with her husband, not receive a child. The same desire we see, different kind, but it is the same tone, same attitude, same mood, not for pure devotion. Lord Shiva and Parvati rescued his son named Sukesha. After receiving benediction from them, Sukesha became very proud. Later on, he married Devaswati and begot three sons named Malayavan, Sumali, Mali. Knowing that their father had become powerful by receiving benediction, they went to perform austerities for this purpose. When Lord Brahma came to fulfill their desire, Sukesha's son said, O Lord, May we become long-lived and let us become so powerful that will strike terror into the hearts of all of our enemies. See this kind of desire and asking. Give us the ability to become invisible. Let us three brothers always have to love for one another. Lord Brahma consented. Thereafter, Malayavan, Somali, Mali began to torment the demigod Asuras alive. Being enlivened by their leader's prowess, the Rakshasa went to Vishwakarma and requested him to give them a place of residence. Vishwakarma informed the Rakshasa that he had already built Lanka by the order of King Indra, that it was a city surrounded by walls of gold. At Vishwakarma's urging, they went and lived there. Later on, the wife of Mali gave birth to 4 sons who became Vibhishana's ministers. Malayavan's wife gave birth to many children, including Virupaksha. Somali's wife gave birth to Suparshava, Prahasta, and others. All these offspring became very proud like their father. At last, being greatly harassed, the demigods approached Lord Vishnu for shelter. Lord Vishnu assured them that he had already decided to kill the sons of Sukesha because they had proudly overstepped the bounds of propriety. Thereafter, great battle took place between Lord Vishnu and son of Sukesha. In the fight, Mali was beheaded by Lord Vishnu Sudarshan Chakra after fleeing. The Rakshasa abandoned Lanka and entered the nether regions. Agastya said, Malayavan, Somali, Mali were more powerful than Ravana and the other Rakshasas that were killed by you. Still, being descendants of Pulasthya, they were nonetheless very powerful. Rama, it can only be concluded that you are Lord Narayana, but no one else could have killed these Rakshasas. Vaishravana began to reside at Lanka. One day, as Sumali was wandering over the earth in search of suitable husband for his daughter, happened to see Vaishravana flying overhead in his Pushpaka chariot. Being very impressed by celestial vehicle, Sumali returned to the lower regions and then made up his mind to give his daughter Kaikashi to Vaishrava. Under Sumali's instruction, Kaikashi approached Vaishrava as he was engaged in performing sacrifice. As Kaikashi shyly stood before him, their head bent down, scratching the ground with her toes, Vaishrava inquired, My dear Angle, who are you? What is your purpose coming here? Kaikashi replied, I am the daughter of Somali and my name is Kaikashi. Whatever else you may wish to know, I request you to find out by utilizing your spiritual prowess. Vaishrava went into trance and meditation after reading Kaikasi's mind. He said, I can understand that you want to receive sons from me. I grant your wish. But because you have approached me at an inauspicious time, your sons will become fierce Rakshasas. So you can see, interest of time, I skip a little bit and read and then we'll end in a minute. One day, Kuvera came to his father Vaishrava. When Kaikasi saw him, she urged her son Dasagriva to become as powerful, as glorious as half-brother. After hearing these words, Dasagriva became very envious of Kuvera and decided to become greater than him in all respects. Within his mind, Dasagriva went to Gokarna along with his younger brothers. There he executed unprecedented austerities, and as a result, Lord Brahma became very pleased with him. Dasagriva went without water for 10,000 years, and at the end of each 1,000 years, he offered one of his heads into the sacrificial fire. In fact, it was when Dasagriva was just about to offer his last head, Lord Brahma appeared before him to reward him for his austerities. When Lord Brahma urged him to accept a benediction, Dasagriva replied in a voice that was choked due to excessive joy, O Lord, I have only one fear, that is death. Please grant me the boon of immortality. Lord Brahma said, it is not possible for anyone within the material creation to have absolute immortality. Even I will have to die one day. So I request you to ask for something else. Ravana begged, grant me immunity from death at the hands of Nagas, Daityas, Danavas, Rakshasas, and demigods. I do not require immunity from others like human beings and animals. This is the impudence Ravana got. For I consider them to be no more of a threat than straw in the street. Lord Brahma granted all this and also restored Dasagriva's heads. He then told Vibhishana, you may also accept benediction according to your desire. See the Vibhishana, devotee's desire. Vibhishana replied, my dear Lord, since you are pleased with me, the goal of my life has already been achieved. My only wish is that my mind may always remain steadily fixed upon the path of virtue, even amidst the greatest difficulties. This is the main key, one of the key lessons we have learned from Ramayana, Vibhishana. So instruction here for us. Lord Brahma replied, because you are by nature inclined to righteousness, even though born as Rakshasa, I will grant you immortality on the level of the chief demigods. Next, when Lord Brahma was about to offer Kumbhakarna a benediction, this is very interesting. The demigods who had accompanied him pleaded with folded hand, this Rakshasa is very evil-minded and he has already devoured numerous apsaras. The rishis and others. His only business is to terrorize the entire universe, since he has already created so much havoc without any benediction. After receiving your mercy, he will surely devour the three worlds. O Lord, we request you to somehow cast a spell of delusion over Kumbhakarna while using the pretext of granting him benediction. After carefully considering the demigod's request, Lord Brahma mentally summoned his consort, Goddess Saraswati, and so he immediately came and stood by his side. Goddess Saraswati inquired, "Oh Lord, what service can I render?" Lord Brahma was requested, "I want you to become the speech within Kumbhakarna's mouth." Thus, it came to be that when Lord Brahma asked Kumbhakarna to accept benediction, the gigantic Rakshasa replied, "If you wish to fulfill my desire, then allow me to sleep for many, many years." Lord Brahma assented, saying, "So be it." Just as Lord Brahma was about to depart, Kumbhakarna came to his senses and wondered, "How did these disastrous words come from my mouth? I must have been bewildered by the demigods." And Sumali learned that these three grandsons had received benediction from Lord Brahma. He gave up all fear of Lord Vishnu and came to meet Dasagriva. This past time, Uttarakhand is very, very interesting, but many lessons are there in this verse. But I already went over time long. Thank you very much for patient listening. Andra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ramayana ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktan.
Jai. Thank you very much, Krishna Prabhu. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. The Parna time, breaking fast time today is, we've already started 6:45 to 10:45. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha, Praladesha, Jaya
Praladesha, Padma, Makapatma, Pringa,
Ugravira Mahavishnu,
Vishnu, Jalantam Sarvabhautram, Narsingham Vishnam Badram, Mamiyam.
Narsingha Bhagwan ki Jai,
Jai.
Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances because we have all the humble Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhaya kripa sindhubhaya vacharanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Jagannath Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hare Bol.
Hari 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 Bol.
Thank you so much,
Everybody,
Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.